What's up? This is Anthony Davis. All right, I guess this is part 3 of Is Yoga Safe? It depends. I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, so the simple point I want to get across in this video, I'm going to keep it short and simple. If you find yourself, if you're very flexible and you find yourself frequently searching for a more flexible version of a yoga pose, stop doing that and you will be keeping yourself safe. It's pretty simple. If you find yourself in a, let's just take a forward fold here, for example. So we'll do this Paschimottanasana with the legs out, and typically what will happen is you'll fold forward, right? First of all, if you saw the last video from this series, I don't recommend doing that. I would recommend staying upright, bend the knees a little bit. You can reach forward and dig down into the heels, so you actually use the same muscles that you're contracting while you're stretching them. And then it's really not a stretch, it's an eccentric contraction. That's beside the point. If you find yourself, well, okay, folding forward doesn't do it for me, so I gotta grab the toes, and then grabbing the toes and pulling doesn't do it, so you gotta, people will wrap their hands around their, I can do it, so I'll show you real quick. Just, they'll wrap their hands around their feet and pull. So you keep searching and searching, and I don't feel a stretch here. Well, if you don't feel a stretch there, that's because your tissues are hyperflaccid. It's because your tissues are already plenty mobile. Your joints already are plenty mobile, and that means you're probably lacking a significant amount of strength. So pigeon is another big example. So we'll do this pose here where we're basically doing the splits, and then this isn't enough for people, so they'll go all the way down to the floor, and that's not enough, so they'll reach behind their head and grab this back leg. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. Simple point is, if it looks, if you're already flexible and you have a hard time in a certain position finding and feeling a stretch, and that frustrates you, well, one, you're probably addicted to stretching, and yes, that's a real thing, and it's not good, and it's going to lead you to a path of instability in your joints and injury. And secondly, you could be doing yourself so much more service by just reorienting your goal in yoga, and instead of focusing on finding a feeling of stretching, find a feeling of muscular activation, of balance, you can kind of feel like when you're challenging your balance, challenging your strength, how your brain and your muscles start to talk to each other again, and you start to form new, what we call neuromuscular. It's just a fancy way of saying brain to muscle connections. So instead of searching for that next stretch, if you don't feel a stretch, that's a good indication that your body is probably excessively flexible. And I don't say this to put a label on you that makes you feel like you're in a disease state or there's something wrong with you. I do this to encourage you to adapt and find strength in your practice so that your practice is actually one that benefits you in the long term instead of harming you. The chances of you getting hurt in a yoga class are very low. But the chances of you getting hurt from practicing yoga over 5 years or 10 years are pretty high, actually. So it totally depends on how you practice it and what your goals are. So simple, I'll say it one more time. If you're constantly searching for a stretch and you can't find it, it's because you don't need one. You don't need to be stretching at all, maybe in that position or that range of motion. So rethink, focus on strength and stability and balance instead of on flexibility as your primary concern in yoga, and you'll be safe. And if you're a teacher, your students will be safe and everybody will be more happy, and we can work with other fitness professionals and they'll begin to trust us and realize that yoga can be such a profound and powerful and safe and effective practice. So cool, thanks.